Hello, I'm Svitek, 360 Creative Coach, and this episode is less of a lesson, more of I actually want to pose a question to you because I'm genuinely curious. And the question is something that I've thought about, I think, pretty much ever since I wanted to be creative, and it's how do you quiet the demons in your own head that are being critical during the creative process? So what do I mean by this? Like for me, like all of us are, or at least I imagine most of us are very good critics, right? We're good at analyzing work, and especially our own, of like what works and what doesn't. And for me, in creative pursuits, I always try to get to a point where I can critique instead of have to create from scratch. Because if I have something, let's say like a script, and I have various pages written, then it's far easier for me to read over those pages and critique and be like, okay, this needs to change, and we need to add this into it, so I can let my critical brain go to work on how to enhance it. But the problem becomes, when there's nothing on the page, and even as you're revising and things like that, and you need to like create new scenes or whatever the case may be. And I'm using screenwriters as a jumping off point, but of course this works for music, it works painting, whatever sort of creative endeavor that you're pursuing, where you have to be in a full state of creation rather than critique. And so in that moment, I asked myself, I've been thinking about this a lot, of how do you quiet down that demon? Because the natural inclination as you're creating this, you want to get to that flow state where you're just purely creating and you're going, they call it the flow state because you are going with the flow, right? You're just so inspired. And of course, whatever you create, there might be some imperfections and you might have to revise and things like that. But at least, it comes from a place of that inspiration. The muse is guiding you, let's say. But in my experience, there's always that little bit of nagging, even as I'm doing it, of like, okay, if I have to come up with a specific line of dialogue, it's like, well, what you just wrote is dumb, and that just that voice, just that quick interjection all of a sudden throws you off so much, at least it does for me. And it's like, how do I quiet it? And, one of the things I think, sadly, for a lot of writers, I think it is drugs. I say I use the word writers encompassingly. And I think it's sad, and it's a kind of conversation that I've had with many people, like would most of the writers that we look up to, would their writing be as good as it is with the alcohol or not? And you kind of look at it, well, maybe they would have been able to create far more had they not, succumbed to alcohol or other drugs and things of that nature. It's like that could be true, but also could be not true. Like, who's to say? And it's a weird thing. It's like, some of them don't have to be alcoholic or druggies. It could just be that they're creative. And I don't know, it's a very grim sort of thought to kind of look at it from that perspective. But all the more reason why I am posing the question, because, yeah, I mean, you look at things like meditation, yoga, or just kind of journaling and things of that nature. Like, they're all what I'll call self-help tools that attempt to quiet this mind. And certainly, these are all things that I do, going on a walk, things of that nature, getting some exercise. Like, these are all part of the healthier choices to make you more patient, to get the nagging voice out of your head so you can be creative. But I don't know, even in spite of those, like, as much as I do those, there's still also those moments of like, there's just those demons critiquing, and it's like, how do you shut them up? And sometimes, 1 or 2 beers is the thing. And yeah, I think it's, I don't know. And maybe you have an insight into this. Again, that's why I'm asking. But I think it's a worthwhile question to ask. And it's a big one, how do you, I think a lot of us, I think you, I imagine, struggle with this the same as I have. How do you just shut that nagging voice in your head? Really? And so I wanted to pose this so that way we can kind of get a dialogue going, you and me, but also everyone else, and we can hopefully create a far better list, of healthy techniques that do work, because that would be really cool. I think that would be really cool. So that's the purpose of this episode. So by all means, please share in the comment section or hit me up on social media, your experiences or how you view this question, and hopefully we can move the dialogue forward. I look forward to that. Thank you, and I appreciate you.